Hello, my dear children. Welcome back to my class. How are you? I hope all are doing well. Do you remember the things we did in the last class? Just recall them, okay? What is the name of the story? Yes, Life with Grandfather. Raja is the main character of the story. Then grandfather, grandmother, uncle were the members in his family. Then, yes, grandfather, grandmother are the guardians of Raja. Then they lived in a large house with a small family. Then, next we discussed the playground or garden of Raja. What's the specialty of garden? Yes, it had full of different types of trees, animals, different types of birds are there. Then in the corner of the garden, we could see a grove. Okay, today I am getting into the next subtitle of the story, Making a Shower. So, I am getting into the title. I ask you one thing. Do you like rain? Have you shook that tree with full of water drops? Have you walked the muddy water? It would be a beautiful experience. Do you see this picture? Who are there in this picture? What is Raja doing? What happened to grandfather? What may be the response of grandfather? Let's see what is happening to the story. Are you ready? Making a shower. It was an evening after a heavy rain. Grandfather was picking flowers from the jasmine bush under the sandalwood tree. The leaves of the tree were full of raindrops. I know I could make rain if I shook the tree, and grandfather and I would get a good shower. I liked bathing in the rain, but he might not like it. But it would be great fun. So I quickly went near the sandalwood tree and shook it with all my strength. There was a heavy shower and both grandfather and I were soaked. I loved it, but grandfather did not. He turned to me with an angry look. I was sure he would catch me and beat me, so I ran. He ran after me. I ran fast, but he ran faster. He had almost caught me when he stumbled and fell. I ran away to the paddy fields and hid myself there. I heard grandfather shout that he would teach me a lesson when I came back home. I did not want to go home because I feared grandfather would beat me. I stayed on the fields. It was getting dark. I was afraid to stay there alone in the darkness. I remembered all the ghost stories I had heard. I stood up, looked around, and then ran towards home. I was still afraid to face grandfather, so I did not go inside the house. I went to the cowshed and took shelter in the loft. From there, I could see grandfather sitting on the veranda saying his prayers. Grandmother was waiting for me. When I did not turn up, she looked for me everywhere in the house. Then she came out and called aloud for me, thinking that I was somewhere in the garden. She did not get any answer. Then she went to grandfather and asked him where I was. You look for him in the house, grandfather said. He is hiding somewhere. He is not in the house, grandmother said. I looked for him everywhere. In this first paragraph, Raja says, grandfather and Raja outside the home. Grandfather was plucking the jasmine flowers. From where? Yes, the bush of jasmine under the sandalwood tree. That time he noticed a lots of water on the sandalwood tree. Okay, then what happened? Yes, he shook the tree with all his strength. He liked it, he loved it, but grandfather didn't, because grandfather and Raja soaked in the water. What do you mean by soaked? Yes, soaked means completely wet. So Raja afraid. So he ran fast. Grandfather also ran fast. But grandfather stumbled and fell. He ran away the fields. But he heard the grandfather's voice. He thinks he will not go to home because grandfather will beat him. So he stayed in the paddy fields. Okay, he stayed in the paddy fields. So he could not longer stay in the paddy fields. It was getting dark. That time he remembered the ghost stories he heard. So he ran towards the home. But the Raja was still afraid to face his grandfather. So he did not go to inside the home. Then he went to the cowshed and took a shelter in the loft. From there, he could see the grandfather sitting on the veranda and saying his prayers. She searched him everywhere in the house, but she could not find him. So she came out and called him. She thinks that he would be in the garden, but did not get any answers. This time grandmother asked to grandfather where Raja was. Grandfather thought that he was playing hide and seek with them. So grandfather said to grandmother to look inside the home. But grandmother replied that she searched everywhere in the house but could not find him. What happened to Raja? Can you guess? Now I will be giving you some homework. That is all for today's class. I hope you enjoyed. We can see in the next class. Thank you.